All right. According to this, it's showing that this is live. This is Chris, and this is Bar 911-970. Thank you, as always, for taking the time to listen to what I have to say. And I've actually been getting some positive reports on the recent way I've been doing videos. People have been telling me that without having to have anything to visually watch, they can listen to what I say while they're cooking dinner, while they're doing other things. So I think I'm going to stick with this for the most part because I just find it an easier format. If people seem to like it and enjoy it, then I definitely want to make sure I contribute in the way that's beneficial to most people. Now, obviously, you can't please everybody, but we'll do the best that we can. So I always found my strength tends to be my voice. So what better way to accent it than you not having to see anything, and you could go about your day while I'm speaking. So thank you for the feedback. Now, as you see with the title of this, it's about depression. Now, there's different forms of depression, but the first thing I want to start out with is you're never alone. It's never too late to seek out help. So if you feel you're at a point where you feel that there's no return, please don't be afraid to call out to a friend or a family member or seek professional help, somebody that can help guide you in a better direction. So keep in mind, I am not a doctor or therapist. I'm just talking from my own points of view, and it's my own opinion. So please keep that in mind. Now, for those of you who might have been watching some of my videos recently, I've been going through some interesting events, which we're not going to get into the details, but the overwhelming amount of negativity has definitely left a little bit of, I can't say damage, but it has affected. And the reason I want to make this is to show that you could be the most positive person, the most energetic person, have things going. Sometimes you're going to have things in life where you're going to fall. And as much as most people would be afraid to talk about this stuff when they're going through some emotional problems, I feel that that's the best time to share that depression and negativity, sometimes it can affect us all. And it's okay, because most people seem to think if they're down, it's a form of weakness. Now, being knocked down, especially if others knock you down, whether it's through words, through their actions, what have you, it can feel like the whole world is pressing against you. And we feel like maybe it's our fault or something we did was wrong. And that can be a case. It could be a partial case. It's going to be different from person to person. But I see on a lot of people when they talk about this subject, they feel like they have no control and that it's weak to basically say you're not at your strongest point. It's okay to be knocked down. That's going to happen. The weakness always comes from when you choose to stay down. That is the hardest part, is the getting back up. Now, it's easy to be on the other side where you're knocking somebody down. That doesn't take much effort. You could literally just go up to a person and push them. The idea is to understand that whatever you're going through, there's some form of reason behind it, even if we don't see it right away. And if we focus on the negative and the woe is me aspect, then what happens is we tend to drown in our own sorrows. We tend to focus on just the why is this happening? And we don't grow from it. We don't learn from it. And then it can spiral out of control and repeat itself. Like I said in my video the other day, things happen in cycles. Life is just that way. That's why every day the sun's going to come up and it's going to go back down. There are going to be specific seasons. It's not going to be summer, then all of a sudden summer is going to last forever. You're going to have seasons. It's a cycle. This is how life works. So when it comes to feeling down, there are many different reasons for that. It could be a loss of a loved one. It could be a loss of a friend. It could be a loss of a career. It could be a loss of a path. It could be people coming at you physically, people coming at you mentally. It could be just solitude. There's a variation of different things. Now, when it comes to people feeling down, Never underestimate or overestimate somebody's problem, because what may be minuscule to you may be life-threatening to someone else. So the biggest thing that I could say to people who are not currently in that situation and may have friends, family, or just other people, maybe they watch on YouTube that are going through those things, approach them with a grain of salt, approach them with caring, with guidance, with just sometimes an ear. Because you may listen to somebody feeling down for whatever reason, and you might think to yourself, oh, why are they so upset about that? That's no big deal. But to them, it can be. And one of the biggest things I see at times is people that are not in those situations tend to look at it from their own perspective instead of putting themselves in the perspective of the person that's feeling what they're feeling. So never trivialize what somebody's going through. Because the one thing I can tell you is we've all had our moments where we've been down. And a lot of times we're basically taught, put on the happy face, put on the brave face. So just imagine if you're seeing somebody that's trying to put on their quote unquote brave face, and you could still see the sadness or feel the sadness in them. Just imagine if they were able to reveal how they are truly feeling. So never underestimate what somebody's going through. Now, I feel what I'm going through may be a no big deal to some, but it's affected me. And I feel the best thing to do is share that experience with others so they know that they're never alone. And it's okay to feel down. It's okay to be down. Sometimes it is to grieve with any kind of loss. There is no set time limit where grieving has to come to an end. In other words, it's not like you lose a family member, you lose a friend, lose a pet, lose a job, whatever. It's not like, okay, you have now 15 days to get over this and then you have to go back to your regular life and be hunky-dory, everything's fine. So if it takes you a day to get over something, it takes you a week, a month, a year, a decade, you go with what is comfortable for your pace. Now, obviously, the longer we hold on to things, the more it could potentially damage us. So we do want to try and focus on it and face it. And the hardest part of any kind of depression, whether it's just having a bad day, to feeling sad, to thinking suicidal thoughts. And I highly recommend anybody that gets to that point, please call somebody. There are 1-800 suicide numbers. There are plenty of people who will care. If you ever get to that point, please don't take that road, because everybody on this planet is here for some purpose. Sometimes we don't realize it, or we don't pay attention to it because it may not be discovered, and we have to discover what our purpose is. Sometimes our purpose is grand, saving the planet. And sometimes it's maybe just saving a friend, or saving somebody you don't know or may never even realize you saved. So there's a lot of things in life where what we do, like I said in the other video about consequences, how it can affect other people. So you don't know, maybe 5 years ago, you gave some friendly advice to somebody and you never saw that person again. And because of your friendly advice, or the fact that you cared enough to give that friendly advice, maybe they went on to do something inspiring or healing or beneficial, and you may never even know about it. So never underestimate your kindness and your caring. And what I've learned in life is the more you care, the more you feel, which is almost a double-edged sword. And that's why most people that fall into depression, and again, this is just my opinion, I'm not giving a professional background. If you seek a professional background, you're in the wrong place. But I find we beat each other up. We beat ourselves up. And we don't give ourselves enough credit of the goodness that we have. And when you care, you feel. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, if a person doesn't really care, and doesn't really feel, they could go murder somebody or destroy somebody or rob somebody and it not affect them. That coldness. Those of us who can feel and do get down because maybe we were affected by what somebody said, or somebody criticized you, or somebody said you're not good enough, or you're not pretty enough, or you're not smart enough, or you're not as likable, whatever. When you feel that, in a way, it's something to be proud of because you feel and you care. That is why maybe you'll cry at a sad movie. Maybe that's why you feel upset when somebody injures an animal or hurts another human being. Maybe it's one of the reasons why you protest a war or people fighting. It's because you feel empathy. You feel for others. That is a selfless act. Those that hurt others for pleasure, for monetary gain, for what have you, the ones that can do it with a smile on their face, they are selfish. They lack empathy, meaning they can do these things without feeling. And if you put things in proper perspective, you can understand that feelings come with a price. Caring comes with a price. It's the fact that you may be sensitive, you may be affected by what other people can just walk past. You may see a homeless person and millions of people walk by that woman or man every day, not caring, but you see it and it affects you in the heart. Now, obviously, it's challenging to try and change the world on your own. And in this world, we're basically taught to be distracted. We're taught to not focus on major concerns. Most people, especially in this country, in the United States of America Corporation, we're focused on problems with celebrities and famous people. First world problems. Instead of worrying about how we can heal the planet, how we can heal each other, how, despite our differences, we are all still human, some more than others. And when it comes to the fact that you care, you will have people who will want to destroy you for that. Sometimes simply just because they can. But I commend those that feel. I commend those that can feel so much that they get depressed because they want to help the world and they can't. Or they loved somebody and now they have that love gone. And they feel that loss, or they feel that caring. That says more about your positive nature about you. The trick is to not let it overwhelm you and consume you. And it's not a weakness to cry. It's not a weakness to feel bad. It's not a weakness to fall down, unless you choose to give up. Now, just imagine if some of the most influential people, and I'm not talking people like Kanye West and others of this modern day influential ability where they can just cause problems and drama. I'm talking throughout history, people that changed the world for the better, that created beauty, art, stopped oppression. Just imagine if those people, because I'm sure every one of them at one moment in their life had their down moment, where they questioned, why am I here? Why am I doing what I'm doing? Now, just imagine if your hero at an early stage in their life just gave up. Just imagine all the things that wouldn't be created. Just imagine if somebody like Beethoven, for whatever reason, was so sad for, again, whatever reasons, and decided never to make any of his music. How many millions of people would have never had the beauty of his symphonies and his creations? So never underestimate your ability of what's around the corner. A lot of it has to do with fear of the unknown. And I look at life like a series of doors and hallways, where your present is the door you're at. Your future is the door you go to find. And the gap between those two can be miles of darkness and thorns and scariness. But the next door, if you let go of the fear, always brings you to a better place. The problem is we are so afraid of the unknown and that darkness that we would rather hold on to a door, clinging on to it like our life depended on it, for fear of it closing. Because once it closes, believe it or not, doors can open. You ever try something and it doesn't work and you go back to something else? But people are so afraid of that door closing because now to get to the next door, you have to go through darkness. You have to go through the unknown, through the unfamiliar. And that scares people. So some people would rather be in the same situation, even if it is painful, simply for the fact that it is familiar. And I promise you, if you trust your heart, if you trust your instincts, if you allow yourself to know it's okay to fall down, even if somebody pushes you down. Now, it's not right for them to do it, but how you handle it is where the situation will end up. Because if somebody says you're no good and you believe them, well, then you've created that truth. But if somebody says you're no good and you choose to say, well, that's your opinion, I don't agree, well, then you still retain your power. And trust me when I say this week has been a little tested, another test for me, where I've had to look into myself and I got knocked down. Whether people want to say it's just or unfair, unless you're in the complete full situation and know the full thing, you're only basing it on your own opinions of the small amount that you get involved in. If you choose to only hear one side of a story, you will never get a complete picture. That's like trying to complete a puzzle with only half the pieces. You can take a guess of what the whole picture might be, but you'll never know because you didn't solve the puzzle. So I know, especially with this title, there might be people right now suffering through pain, suffering through loss. Give yourself the time to grieve. Give yourself the time to heal. Surround yourself with positiveness as much as possible, even if that means getting out of your house, going to the beach, going to a park, climbing a mountain, doing something that just brings you back with nature, just so you can say for a moment, I'm alive. I'm here. There's a purpose of why I'm here. I need to figure that out. And it's okay to be down. But is it okay to stay down? Do I want to do that? So I hope if there are people out there that are on those moments where they are weak, to know it's okay. But seek friendship, seek companionship, seek professional help if you need it, maybe from a counselor. Medication, well, I'm not even going to go there. I don't agree with taking medication. But if it's necessary, that's a different story. So we'll leave it at that. It's not for me to decide. So I hope that people understand that you're going to be down in life, but it doesn't mean you have to be out. And sometimes it could feel like the walls are all crumbling around you. And that can feel pretty scary, especially if you have to do it alone. But true strength is knowing that despite the odds, despite how many people said you can't do it, despite the fact that numerous people gang up on you, that you can face it alone. Because that's true power. And the people that have been attacking me recently, and some of them a little bit way under the belt, it takes lots of them to attack the one of me. So who is weak and who is strong? And I'm sharing this knowing that I am feeling a little down. I am not feeling my regularly positive self. And that's okay. Sometimes you need to experience these things just to see if this is the way you want to go. Because remember, without winter and its coldness and its darkness, because you have less sunlight in the wintertime. Well, depending on where you live in the world. But for the majority, it's less sunlight, less shorter hours. It's dark, it's cold. But if not for that, you would not appreciate the summer and its warmth and its brighter days. So sometimes we have to experience the lower vibrations so we can sometimes get back to appreciating the higher ones, because maybe we took it for granted. Maybe we just didn't see the beauty that we need to see. And maybe sometimes we have to be knocked down a pedestal or two to say, wait a minute, sit back and look at all the beauty. Because yes, there are wars, there are famine, there are evil people. But that doesn't mean there can't be good found in your world. And maybe sometimes you have to find it yourself. And I think in this world, with all of these celebrities and all these things that go on in this world, they make you think you just sit back, make a YouTube video or do one thing, and all of a sudden the world will just come at you with everything that you desire. Maybe that happens to some. Maybe it could happen to you. But the more effort you put in, the better your chances. So I know it's hard to smile sometimes. I know it could feel lonely, even if you're in a room full of people, because a lot of times we're afraid to share this for fear of being judged. And there will be some people out there that you could pour your heart out, and they will be the meanest, cruelest people in the world. But you know what? I would not trade how I feel right now for somebody that could be that cold, that evil, that sadistic. I would rather feel knowing that because I care and I am a caring person, I can allow things to affect me, than to be somebody who could just murder somebody and just think nothing of it and wonder, when am I going to get paid for my activity? Think about that yourself. If you're one of those people that feels down because you're affected by the world, it affects you. It makes you feel sad that it's going in a bad direction. It makes you angry that people just cannot see what you see, or attack you because you have a difference of opinion. Now, those of you who've been watching my channel here know that I haven't hidden the fact that I have another channel. It's a comic book channel. I use it as a way to kind of escape from this, because sometimes it can be a little overwhelming. And some of the people that trolled me here followed me there and caused a lot of grief. Now, does that mean I handled everything perfectly? Absolutely not. I'm an emotional person. I will react emotionally. And some people take advantage of that fact. But now I have to deal with people basing opinions on one-sided stories, ganging up on me, and posting their negativity towards me constantly. Now, being a strong person, I can handle that. But it's not always easy. And that's why the bravest thing and the strongest thing I could do is not hide this, but put it out in the public and say, here it is. It's okay. You know, when they say, when the world makes lemons, make lemonade, I like to kid around every now and then and say, if the world hands you a lemon, squirt the juice in a hater's eye. No, I don't recommend doing something like that. I just use that as a little humor. And I think that's why a lot of people that are sensitive and that are caring do develop a sense of humor. That's why, if you haven't noticed, most stand-up comedians, when they get those real interviews, they usually admit they have a lot of vulnerabilities. They have a lot of depressions, a lot of inner demons, and they use the humor as a way to conquer those demons. And sadly, there are people out there who will flourish off of negativity. It's like a leech that it has to attach to you and suck out your energy, your life force, your blood in order to survive. Unfortunately, there are people in this world that will do that, metaphorically speaking. We don't let them affect us. And if it does affect us, we learn from it and say, okay, I'm feeling a certain way. Let's dig into it and understand why I am feeling this way. And if the same thing happens over and over again, it's almost like if you watch the movie Back to the Future, where the guy Biff is tapping on your head going, hello, McFly, why aren't you getting it? So if you're going through the same thing over and over again, maybe you're attracting the same type of people or the same situations are happening, it's probably because you have to learn something. That includes myself. There are no exceptions in this world. I think even the biggest bullies in the world at one point, the reason they became bullies is probably some bad situation that happened to them at certain points. Instead of them coping and dealing with it and processing it, they internalized it and now lash out at others to make themselves feel good. And if you don't think that's possible, watch many people who in their depressions will actually physically hurt themselves to relieve the pain. It's kind of ironic if you think about it. Using pain to alleviate pain. But that, like alcohol, like drugs, is a temporary fix that does not help. And that is why if you think about the irony of something, for example, like alcohol is a depressant, and we tend to use it to help lift our spirits. Think about that when you put it in that perspective. You're using a depressant to lift your spirits. And we wonder why there's a downward spiral if abused, because too much of anything is never good. So too much of a negative thing is even worse. So I highly recommend, if you use drugs or alcohol or other means to mask what you're feeling, to please go get professional help and find a better way, because it's almost like if you are driving in your car and all of a sudden you hear a rattling noise in the engine. You don't know what it is, you're not a professional, but you know something doesn't sound right. And instead of getting it checked, you decide to put your radio louder than the noise so you can no longer hear it. Now, does that mean because you can't hear the noise that the problem is solved? And I can understand why sometimes we feel like, oh my God, I just want to get high, or I just want to get drunk, because it will make us forget. But it's only temporary. And you ever notice that you need more and more of that substance? And because those substances, on the most part, are damaging and could cause other problems, you tend to spiral in the wrong direction. It can make you sick. It can even kill you. I mean, God forbid anybody drives drunk. That isn't going to escalate your recovery of your self-healing. Some people can heal themselves. Some people need professional help. Some people maybe just need an ear. So don't be afraid to talk to people. Don't be afraid if you're in a relationship and you're sitting there right now with somebody you love and they've caused you pain to the point where you are sad. Maybe you should start a dialogue. Not fights, not pointing fingers, but just communication. Positive communication. So good can come out of bad. I mean, if you think of something, and it'll sound a little gross, but cow manure as bad, well, can't it help to be used as fertilizer and make things grow? What about a forest fire? That's bad, right? But doesn't it help clear away the dead trees and the dead branches and actually clears the way for newer life to grow and flourish even more? That's why it happens in nature. Not always naturally, but in the end, things actually grow better. So good can come from bad. So if you're feeling down, maybe it inspires you to write a book. Maybe it inspires you to help a friend. Maybe it inspires you to create a painting. Or maybe sit down and just think about your life and go in a different, maybe even better or more interesting situation. Maybe sometimes if you are religious, maybe your God or gods or whatever you believe in loves you so much that they're pushing you in a better direction. And the only way you'll pay attention is if it's so painful you won't want to stay. Let's put it to you this way. Let's say you're in a room and it's filling up with gas that you can't smell, you can't see, you don't know is there. And if you stay in that room, you're going to die. And let's say your friend knows this. Now, the first thing he's going to try and do, and let's say he can't even go in the room. He just has to talk to you. and you, for some reason, are depressed or angry or stubborn or whatever, and you're not leaving that room. Doesn't matter what he says or she says. If you choose to not do something, even if something could ultimately harm you, but if somebody's giving you warning signs and you're not paying attention to it, just think about that. Why would your friend be there trying to help you out of a room? Most likely because they care and they want you safe. But a lot of times we tend to ignore what people say for whatever reason. Maybe we don't believe it. Maybe it's silly. Maybe it's different than what we're used to or not the popular thing. And no matter what that person says, you refuse to leave the room and he can't get in there. So what if he decides or she decides, for some reason, she has the power to start closing the walls together or raising the temperature of the room to the point where you're sweating to death. Or maybe throws a match in there and the room starts to get set on fire. Now, you could see those as negative things, and it might be extreme, but if that ends up getting you out of the room, then a negative situation could be used to do something positive. Now, I don't go recommending anybody set anybody's room on fire. Please don't do something like that. Again, we don't want to hurt people. I'm just using these as figuratively speaking. But you can take any situation and maybe not see it right at that moment, but maybe 10 years down the line, an event created who you were. I'll give you a prime example. The fact that when my parents got divorced when I was 10, and my mother ended up dating a person who was a severe alcoholic and very abusive, not physically, but mentally. And as he progressively got weaker and weaker, he would go into things stronger than alcohol. And when I was a child, in my younger days, it would be, why did this have to happen to me? Why am I dealing with this abusive person? Why am I going through all this? Why me? Why me? Hated the person so much that I wanted to be everything he wasn't. But now I look back and say, if not for that person, who knows what type of person I would be? Because I want to be the opposite of what he was. It made me more caring. It made me want to listen to people. It made me want to be there for people. It made me want to never use alcohol as a reason to do things. So just imagine if that person never existed in my life, where would I be? I could be dead right now. I could be in jail right now. I could be somebody hurting others right now instead of doing this that may help one person. You will never understand what good you can do for this world. So don't think you don't. Don't think you don't matter. Even if that's true for this moment, you will, if you care, if you feel enough to be depressed because something has made you sad, then that means you have empathy. You have something in your heart that some wish for. And if they can't get it, they will try and hurt you because, misery loves company. And it doesn't take effort to destroy. I mean, if you're not an artist, try and make a painting. Watch how difficult it is. First of all, you got to get the materials. That's expensive. Then you have to have an idea and a thought process. And I'm talking about real art. I'm not just saying take paint and just throw it against the canvas. I'm talking about somebody that's trying to actually make an image, try and make something. That could take days, weeks, months, even years. I'm sure the Sistine Chapel was not created in a day. Now just imagine when Michelangelo created the Sistine Chapel. And if I'm wrong with that, please correct me. But I believe that's who created that. So forgive me if I'm wrong. But even if it's not, it's irrelevant. All the math that had to go into it. How difficult it was to get up there and paint that. That couldn't have been easy because they didn't have cranes back then. The paint, it's not like you can go to a paint store and go buy it. They probably had to make it out of berries and flowers and other things. I don't know how paint is actually processed and created, but they couldn't go to the local Home Depot. And I'm sure it took a very long time to make it. But it only takes one rocket launcher or one grenade to totally make it disappear. Now, that doesn't take effort. And sometimes it's what we do with things. I mean, you could take the most smartest people in the world and create the most destructive bombs ever. But just imagine if we took those very smart people and used them to save the world instead of trying to destroy it. We always forget that an invention can be both good and bad. It depends on the person wielding it. Think of a knife. A knife could be used to cut your food. A knife can be used to carve out a sculpture. And a knife can be used to stab a person to death. It is all in the power of the person who is using it. Anything can be both good and evil. Take a feather. It seems nice. What happens if you take that feather and stab somebody in the eye with it? Again, not something I recommend you do. You could take a nuclear bomb that can destroy things, and you could disable it, turn it into a piece of art. So it's anything in life can be good or bad. It depends on the person utilizing it. So make the best out of your scenario. If you are depressed, if you are sad, if you are angry, if you are frustrated, if you are tired, if you are fed up, find something that's going to get you out of it, because you have to do that yourself in the beginning. And if you can't do that, you need other support. You need people, you need loved ones, you need professionals, whatever it takes. But you have to start out with the effort, because it's easy to give up. It's easy to say, I can't do this anymore. And you will create your own truth, because if you sit there and say, I can't do this anymore, then you won't. And just imagine all the beauty that may be missed because you chose the easier path. And I could easily have just said, well, I'm not feeling up to this. I'm feeling down because of the things. And if I say anything, people will say, oh, you're being over dramatic, or here he goes again, or whatever. I can't control what other people say. I can control what I do. And my purpose here is not to say, woe is me. It's to say that I may be down, but I will not be out, and I will do whatever it takes to get myself back to the place I need to be. And if I can educate or help people along the way and it helps improve their life, then I've served a purpose. And you can do the same. And it doesn't have to be making YouTube videos. It could be something as simple as holding a door open for an elderly person, or seeing a homeless person and deciding today's the day you don't walk by, or seeing an injustice in the world, and instead of doing nothing and pretending it's not there, maybe you start a charity event. Maybe you start a change in the world in some way. It's selfless to act. It's selfish to just hurt others for whatever reason. But like I said, I would rather care and feel than to harm others and be the most popular person and everybody high-five me for my quote-unquote achievement. And there's plenty of people like that on YouTube. You'll see that the trolls all have to gather around each other for strength because they can't do it alone. So are they really strong? They have to hide behind the shadows, and they need other people where they can get their energy from, while you stand alone dealing with it, as hard as it may be. Think about how strong you are. Let's say you make YouTube videos, or you go out and protest things, or you try and make a difference by posting things on Facebook or other social medias, and you get constantly people attacking you. It takes all of them to attack one of you. So who's the weak one? Use your power. Use your energy. You have it in there. It can go down again every now and then. It's like a pilot light. Just because there's a little flame doesn't mean the flame is out. You can always turn up the heat. And it's all a matter of choice. You can choose to do the right thing, the wrong thing, or nothing. I've said that on several occasions. You can be whatever you choose to be, and that could be nothing. Or it could be everything, or it could be somewhere in between. So you find out what makes you happy. You learn why you keep experiencing the same thing. You know it's okay to be knocked down. And all you have to do is get back up again. And you can get knocked down again. Get back up again. You can get knocked down 100 times. And as long as you get up 101, you're always in the right. So again, seek help if you need it. Don't be afraid of it. Get the right path. And know that it's okay to be down. And it's okay to feel depression. I've been feeling that in the past couple of days. And sometimes it's you, especially when you do YouTube videos and stuff, you have to pretend everything's fine. Because otherwise you're a drama king or queen or a crybaby or whatever. Who cares what anybody else thinks? It's their opinion. I would never wish what some people did to me on their worst enemies. And again, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm a saint. I responded to things. I could have ignored it. I chose not to. So even though I didn't initiate it, I responded, and I let anger create the emotion that caused a lot of the negativity. So I am partially to blame. But I'm not the only one. And if you take responsibility for your part, if you're upset or angry or whatever, and you say it's 100% somebody else's fault, then you're not being true to yourself. There's always responsibility. So if you deny your own responsibility, you do not grow. And yeah, you might get some high fives, and yeah, you might get a couple extra friends, but you're never going to grow. So honesty is the key. And that's not always easy. And I'm not saying being honest by having to share everything with the world. It's being honest with yourself. Because you could lie to the world. You can even lie to yourself, but you can't lie to truth. So stop trying. And if you get yourself on a more honest path, you'd be amazed at where it will lead you. But for every door that closes, there is always another door. But it's never going to be right in front of you. You're going to have to search for it. You're going to have to go through the darkness. That's going to be scary. People fear the unknown instead of appreciating the fact that, oh my God, I left something bad. What adventure can I seek now? Instead of saying, oh my God, I'm heading towards the unfamiliar, you could say, oh my God, I'm heading towards the unfamiliar, something I don't know. Well, I was leaving something bad, so now I have a chance of it being good. Who knows? What an adventure. But instead we say, oh my God, I have to focus on the bad. I have to focus on the past and the negativity. And what if this happens? Or what if this goes wrong? Well, you can't base your life on what if. Base it on what is, or what you make it to be. Because with all roads, even ones with dead ends, you can always turn around. You can always go in a different direction. The easiest path is not always the right one. And if you had two choices for a road, one is clear, bright, easy to traverse, straight down the road. And another, you can't see more than 3 feet in front of you, and there are thorns, and there's fog, and there are twists and turns, and there's scary monsters in the background. Well, if the straight and narrow path leads you nowhere, then what good is it? What destination are you headed to if it leads nowhere? Just because it's easy and safer, seemingly. And the other one, maybe that's the trials and tribulations of life. Maybe you have to go through those sticker bushes. Maybe you have to face the screaming monsters in the background. Maybe you have to go through the darkness and the twists and turns to end up ultimately where you need to be. It's how we grow. It's the experience where we learn. Because if everything was just handed to us, what excitement would there be if you had, just think about that. What excitement would there be if you had everything? Now, of course, at first you're going to think that's amazing. I have everything. But now, after a while, when you have everything, what is there to achieve? So maybe we're supposed to be here and it's supposed to be hard so we can appreciate what we have. Maybe we don't have 1 million friends, but maybe that's because we can appreciate the 1 or 2 we have. We've been programmed to think always negatively. If it's too good to be true, it usually is. Well, why? Because somebody else said so? And even if that's true for 99% of the world, why does it have to be for you? Unless you believe that to be true. If you think your life is worthless and doesn't have a point, then there would be no reason for you to be here. And if that's the case, you would have never existed. So there is a purpose for you, even if you don't see it yet, or even don't believe in it. Because there's even a purpose for bullies. Because you know what? If you look at, one of the things I've learned about comic books is that heroes and villains pretty much come from the same thing: tragedy and loss. But it's your decision through those tragedies and losses. Do I want to become the hero, or do I want to become the villain? But without each other, neither would exist. It's the yin and the yang, the light and the dark, the winter and the summer, the antagonists, the heaven and the hell. So even the bullies are necessary, because if that inspired somebody to become an athlete or become a painter or a singer, because somebody else had to say you can't do it, and that person, instead of saying, oh, I can't do it, I guess you're right, maybe they said, oh, I'll prove you wrong, and ended up working harder than they ever would have if they weren't motivated by that negativity. Maybe that's what it took for them to be that way. So then that evil person with their evil intent had a purpose. So you can turn the lemons into lemonade. But again, that's choice. I've had a bunch of people beat me down, and a lot of it unfairly. People that I thought were my friends abandoned me. That hurts. But if I grow from it and learn from it, then it happened for a reason. If somebody out there that's listening to this, if you appreciate this, if you think this video helped you, and I hope it does, if that bad situation didn't happen to me, this video would have never been made. So think about that. I could sit there and say, woe is me. I could sit there and say, this is so bad. I could sit there and end up saying, I'm going to go get a gun and put it to my head. But if this video that you're listening to right now helps you in any way, then think about the negativity I had to endure to be inspired to make this video, because I felt the way I do because of what some other people tried to do. They knocked me down. But as you can see, I will get up. It's not easy, but that's what makes it that much more gratifying. And you can do it too. You just got to get that fire. You have to have that believability. You have to look in the mirror, and despite what everybody else says, you are a wonderful person. You have some kind of gift, even if you haven't discovered it yet. If you give up, you never find it. It may take you days, weeks, months, or years, or maybe several lifetimes to find it. But it depends on what you're willing to do and how hard you're willing to work, and if you are willing to take the right path or the easy path. There are a lot of people in this world that will take the easy path. Why? Because it's easy. It doesn't require any effort. It doesn't require effort for somebody to troll my channel and say nasty things and take things out of content with the purpose of hurting me. It takes a lot more strength for me to have to take years of enduring that and still be positive and still want to help people. And yes, they were once in a while, they got me to the point I wanted to shut down my channels. Still here. By choice. You're going to have your down times. You're going to have your weak times. It could be in your past. You could be going through it right now, or it could be right down the line. Learn something from it and turn it into something positive. If you're feeling sad, write a book about how it feels to be sad. Create a new song. Write a movie. Create a poem. Make a video. Use that negative energy into making a quilt, donating to a charity, saving an animal. Because if you think helping somebody is minuscule, then you don't see the bigger picture of what you can do. And it's the same thing with the negative people. They want to hurt people. You never know what kind of evil you can create. It's just like Frankenstein's monster. Because remember, Frankenstein isn't the monster. Frankenstein is the creator of the monster. That's why it's actually called Frankenstein's monster. Most people, when they hear the word Frankenstein, they think about the square-headed guy with the two little nuts and bolts coming out of his neck. That's Frankenstein's monster. Frankenstein is the scientist. And he created that monster. His choice, whether it was on purpose or accidental. It's all about taking responsibility. So I hope that if you're watching this video either now while it's live, or tomorrow, or 10 years from now, if I'm still lucky enough to have this video up, if this helped make you look in a different direction, or even think about looking in a different direction, then it had a purpose. And for me to have this video created, I had to have a negative thing that affected me so much it made me feel down. And instead of putting a gun to my head, or instead of saying woe is me, or instead of spending my days crying or something like that, I turned it into something positive, and it helped you or helped somebody you know. I'd do it again. And I hope that helps others, because this isn't going to hit everybody. It's not going to affect everybody. Like I said, there's still going to be negativity my way. There's some people, no matter what I do, no matter what I say, in their eyes, I'm the bad guy. So they're always going to see the negative, so they're going to create their own truth. The problem is, instead of them moving on and doing something more beneficial with their lives, they tend to focus on the negativity and wonder why they're still the same person they were the day they continued to do that negativity. Sucks for them. Because if their goal is to get me off YouTube, well, they got me off for 9 hours. And on this channel back in 2011, they got me off for about 2 days. Okay, congratulations on your achievement. Meanwhile, despite what people may say, I've had numerous emails over the years from people saying that I've literally saved their life, that they wanted to commit suicide, or they were feeling down and depressed. And if it were not for my videos, they might be dead or in jail. I have several of those emails. That's inspiring. That's beautiful to know. And that is a responsibility, because just imagine if I did give up and these videos were never made. Those people might be dead or in jail. Who knows? Maybe they would have found somebody else. I can't say. But the fact that they said that what I do inspired them or made them think in a different way, in a positive way, is a beautiful thing that these angry people will never, ever experience until they decide, I no longer want to go that negative route. I want to do something good. And they could laugh it off. They could say whatever they want, and they will. And they will do that to you as well. You have people in your life that sometimes, no matter what you do and say, they'll laugh, or they just won't care. Don't feed a dead horse. You might have loved that horse. It might have been with you for your lifetime. But once it's dead, there's nothing you can do but move on and appreciate what you had. So we all suffer through loss. I've had it. Please, when my father died in a fire back in 2012, I had some of the people here, my trolls, who always claim that they're not haters. They just disagree, but yet they've been disagreeing for 5 years. Instead of saying, oh, I don't like this person, go away, but actually said, when I was making videos once a year on the anniversary of my father's death, because he died in a fire, and there was no smoke alarm, I would do videos once a year on the anniversary of his death saying to get smoke alarms. And there were actually people that accused me of doing that to get views. Really? That's some of the people in this world. No matter what you do, no matter what you say, if somebody's set on hating you, that's just going to be the case. There's nothing you can do. The idea is, and maybe that's what I had to learn, stop trying to change people's minds. Do what you do, and do it for the people who appreciate it. And the ones that don't, let them come back every day and bitch and moan, because the only people they're hurting is themselves. Maybe that's why I had to go through this again. And if that's the case, and I learned it, probably won't happen again. So if you have something that's repeatedly a cycle in your life, and you finally understand why, don't be surprised that it doesn't happen anymore. And be proud that you figured it out. Like they say, better late than never. So not only will I hope this helps other people, but I know this is also going to help me, which again is purpose, because I spoke about it. That's true strength. You have strength in you that maybe you don't even know about. Why don't you give it a try? Because you can always go back to the way you were. Thanks for watching, guys and girls. I hope you appreciate it. And if you did, you want to give it a thumbs up, please do. If you want to comment, I'd love to hear what you have to say. If you want to hit subscribe, I'd love to have you a part of this channel. But be strong, fill yourself with love, surround yourself with as many or as few positive people as you can. And remember, something is always better than nothing. We don't all have to be superstars. Just got to shine bright like a regular star. May not say everything right, may not get everything perfect, but my intent has always been to help people. And I'll continue to do that until the day I die, whether it makes me sad, whether it gets me frustrated, whether it makes me feel down every now and then. It's a price to pay, and I'm willing to do it. And if you appreciate that, pay it forward. Do something nice for somebody today. Even if it's just to call a family member you haven't spoken to in a long time and tell them you care about them, or just fix an argument that maybe really was silly. And if you have a loss in your life, give yourself the time to grieve. Know it's okay. Even if everybody says, oh, it's time, who the hell are they to tell you when it's time for you to grieve, to finish grieving? Take all the time you need. But just do what you can to be better, and know that it always will, provided you put in the work and the effort. Because it's not always easy for everybody. But it's more rewarding when you do it yourself and get it through hard work. So if you're knocked down, get your ass back up. Because even if you have friends to pick you up and lift you up, it's so much better when you say, I got this. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.